Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and for today's video I'm here to finally do a response to Drew over at Hey It's Devon Graham, who uploaded a top 20 slasher movie video, and I also believe I got tagged from Horror in Todge, Tony. So I'm going to cheat. As you can tell from the title, I'm not going to do 10, I'm going to do 20. 10 was literally impossible. It was literally impossible for me just to talk about 10, so I stepped it up to 20, and even then it was still extremely hard, and I'm not entirely sure I'm 100% happy with the list, but I didn't want to stress too much about it. This is the 20 that I've come up with that I consider to be my top 20, at least as of right now. As you can see in front of you, some great movies missed out on the list. This was almost impossible. I don't think you guys understand. But anyway, I'm a massive slasher fan, and despite this difficulty I had coming up with this list, here are my top 20 slashers, at least as of right now. So the bottom 10, so 20 to number 11, aren't really in any particular order. But first up, I guess at number 20, we have Evil Laugh. And this one's pretty underrated. It's one that I don't really hear too many people talk about, but it's a lot of fun. It's super cheesy, but it's a lot of fun. I love the characters. It's got a good cast of characters. The killer's pretty awesome. The kills are super cheesy. But yeah, I really like Evil Laugh a lot. So that one sits at number 20. Coming in at number 19, we have Intruder. And this is another one that I consider to be pretty underrated. I don't really hear too many people talk about this one too often, but it's definitely one of my favorites, especially from a location or a setting perspective, because this one is set entirely in a supermarket, which I really like. This one has some really good kills in it as well, so that's Intruder. Coming in at number 18 is a low-budget, independent Australian slasher flick, The Killage. This one is a lot of fun. It's a very typical and traditional, stereotypical slasher, but it's done so well, especially for the budget. So pretty much for that alone, I had to add it to the list. But this is an awesome movie. I'm not necessarily normally a big fan of slasher comedies or horror comedies, but it works so well in this movie. I love all the characters. I love the location. It's sort of set in a work camp, like a training camp, which is pretty cool. And the kills are really good, and it has a nice twist with the killer. So that is The Killage. Coming in at number 17, we have a modern classic, American Psycho. This one doesn't really need too much introduction. It's absolutely amazing, and definitely one of my favourite modern slashers for sure. Number 16 goes to Stitches, another one of my all-time favourite modern slashers. This is another one that I consider to be pretty underrated. If you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend it. This is my favourite killer clown movie, my favourite clown slasher obviously. This is an Irish movie, and it's nice and short. It doesn't have a high body count, but the kills are amazing. Despite the low kill count, body count, the kill style, the kills more than make up for it, because yeah, the kills in this are really awesome. Very memorable. So that is Stitches. Coming in at number 15 goes to Pieces. I own a few different editions to this movie, but I've decided to showcase the Arrow DVD for this one because I love the artwork. This is an awesome slasher movie. It's pretty cheesy, but I like the setting to this movie. I like kind of the whodunit mystery storyline. Some of the dialogue's a little bit hit and miss. Some of the characters are pretty cheesy as well, but it's a lot of fun, and it has some of the best set pieces and sequences when it comes to the kills. Very stylish and very gory. So that's Pieces. Number 14 goes to Nightmare Beach, or Welcome to Spring Break. Another pretty underrated late 80s slasher, but I really love this one, especially from a killer's point of view, because the killer in this one is pretty unique. He's different. He rides a motorbike, and a lot of the motorbike centers around the kills as well, which is really, really cool. Typical 80s, but a lot of fun. So that's Nightmare Beach or Welcome to Spring Break. Next up we have The Burning, and this one needs no introduction. It's an 80s slasher classic, and for good reason. It is absolutely fantastic, one of the best camp theme slashers out there, and who can forget that raft scene? Absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's The Burning. Next up, number 12 I believe, is Dream Home. This is one that I don't really hear too many people ever talk about, but I've got to say, everyone that's watched this movie on my recommendation has liked it a lot, so I'm pretty pleased with that. But yeah, this is an absolutely phenomenal Asian themed slasher, extremely brutal, so if you like really graphic, brutal, gory kills in your slashers, I definitely recommend checking it out. Not a traditional slasher, because this one is very story and character driven. The killer, it's not a spoiler because you already know from the start of the movie, but the killer is a female, which is pretty cool because that's not that common in slasher movies. But yeah, I really like the storyline to this one and the characters, and as I said, really, really gory, brutal, full-on kills. So that is Dream Home. Number 11 we have Wolf Creek, and what can I say about this movie? One of the greatest modern horror movies, and probably my favourite Australian horror film. I go between this one and a couple of others, but yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece of Aussie horror. Introduced us to the amazing horror icon that is Mick Taylor, so that is Wolf Creek. So coming in at number 10 we have Hatchet 2. This is definitely my favourite within the Hatchet franchise. I'm a massive fan of the franchise in general, but I just love this sequel. It's everything I want out of a modern slasher. It's got really full-on gory kills. I love the more mature cast of characters, which isn't something you see too often in slasher movies, so I love that aspect to the film. And of course I love the swamp setting, and Victor Crowley is badass, so that's Hatchet 2. Coming in at 9 we have the classic that is Sleepaway Camp. I'm a big fan of Sleepaway Camp 2, but the original beats it out slightly. What can I say? This is an absolute classic amongst 80 slashers. I love Angela. I think she's a really awesome killer. I love how the kids are actually the appropriate age for camp. The camp setting's great, and that ending is very, very memorable. So yeah, that's Sleepaway Camp. Coming in at number 8 we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm going to mention two movies because I kind of go between part 1 and part 3. I love both of them, so I'm going to cheat a little bit, but yeah, I really can't decide. It's a toss-up between the original and part 3 for me, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, great movie. I'm sure everyone is well familiar with the original that started it all, and part 3 as well. So yeah, that's Nightmare on Elm Street. And number 7, I'm also going to cheat a little bit here too, because I often cannot decide which of these I prefer. So we have the original Maniac and the absolutely incredible remake with Elijah Wood. Really, really tough. I go between both of these as to which one I prefer, so I'm going to cheat and lump them both together. So yeah, that is Maniac. Next up at number 6 we have Candyman, and this was a really, really interesting ranking because a few months ago this wouldn't have even made my top 20, but upon rewatching it I absolutely love this movie now, so it ranks very, very high for me. Not quite in my top 5, but obviously very, very close. This is an absolute masterpiece of 90s horror, one of the best slashers ever made. I absolutely love the whole setting at the housing projects. I love the storyline, the characters, and Candyman is just such an awesome killer. So yeah, that's Candyman. Coming in at number 5 we have Friday the 13th Part 2. I'm not going to talk too much about this movie because I've done numerous times in previous videos. My favourite within the franchise. This movie is just absolutely amazing. Great setting. I love Jason in this. I love the look of Sackhead Jason. Ginny is an absolutely amazing final girl. The ending's awesome and it has some fantastic kills. So that's Friday the 13th Part 2. Coming in at number 4 is my favourite 80s standalone slasher, My Bloody Valentine. Absolutely love this one. I love the setting. I love the killer of Harry Warden and his outfit. And this one has a really high body count and awesome kills. So yeah, that's My Bloody Valentine. Coming in at number 3 is Child's Play 2. You guys already know my opinions on this film. I absolutely love this movie. It's my favourite within the Child's Play franchise. Love everything about it. I honestly cannot fault this movie. It's pretty much a perfect sequel in my opinion, and it has one of the greatest endings in horror history. So that's Child's Play 2. Coming in at number 2 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's kind of funny how I rank this second spot in my slasher ranking list because it's actually my second favourite horror film of all time as well. This is an absolute masterpiece. I don't really need to talk too much about it. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows how amazing it is. And yeah, quite easily my second favourite slasher of all time. And coming in at number 1, oh my god, what a surprise. I bet none of you saw this coming. But of course it had to be Halloween. You guys already knew that before you even started watching this video, I'm sure. So what can I say? This is the perfect horror movie. It's a masterpiece. I absolutely love it. And it will always remain not only my favourite slasher of all time, but my favourite horror movie of all time. So no other movie could be number 1 spot. It had to go with Halloween. So yeah, love this movie. Okay, so there you go guys. That was my top 20 slasher movie list. As I mentioned at the start of the video, this was extremely hard for me to do. I had to leave out some great slasher movies, obviously, but I really enjoyed doing this list. Slashers are my favourite when it comes to the horror genre, so I really had to participate. I had to do a response with this, and yeah, despite how difficult it was a lot of fun. So let me know what you think of my top 20 in the comments section below. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.